Hi everyone, Eric from Alpha Advisors, back today with another video. Today I'll talk about 5 tips on what you can do to improve your resume to a winning resume to get that dream offer from your school or your company. All right, so we'll use a sample resume that I have here up on my screen, and we'll just go from top to bottom and go through some of the things that I find it to be useful. I know when I remember looking at other people's resumes, always gave me great ideas to incorporate into my resume. So hopefully you can incorporate something from here from this video, and so you can improve your resume for your application. So John Doe here, we have the name at the top, it's center, we have email address, phone number, and a hyperlink to a LinkedIn profile account, which is a very smart, I think, because you want to have that online presence. And if you think about it, every company, perhaps school as well, they ask you, what is your website, or what is your social media website? And the companies actually ask you this, they care about it. So having that there is a smart idea. You don't no need to put a home address. I've seen many people put their home address in there. Don't put it in. It's quite the incredibly personal information, and it's never going to stay the same, right? Because you're planning to move out to graduate school, right? That's going to change anyway. So you want to keep it consistent. No need to put home address, okay? Education. Now, typically, the typical order is name of the school, where, location, what major you're doing, and then when you're going to graduate, what minors you may have, and then the sub bullet points can be any achievements, leadership roles you may have taken, and other club activities that or any events or activities that you feel relevant as something perhaps you may be passionate about. Now, same thing, if you've gone to multiple schools, I will follow a similar pattern as well. Now, oftentimes, so for example, global supply chain, okay, this is tip number 1. Don't use acronyms or technical jargons, okay? Too often, I see people write, for example, if it's global supply chain, people write GSC, right? They work in the MKT department, or it's too often people do that. And no matter how, I guess, common sense it may sound, like if it's marketing, MKT, yeah, I mean, a lot of people know that, but don't do it. It's just not worth it. If the rule of thumb, I love to say is that if your child can't understand it, or if your nephew, your niece can't understand what that means, most likely your recruiter or the admissions, they're not going to understand it either. So always write it out. But Eric, if I write it out, the line is going to go to like 2 or 3, 4 lines. Then you have to wordsmith your resume. It's just simple as that. You don't do acronyms or don't do technical jargons. That's tip number 1. All right, so let's go through the professional experience now. We have company name, right? Location, what position you worked in, right? And then from the duration. And this is pretty simple. One thing I noticed that I find to be interesting is people write a short description of the company right below the company or the role. I guess whichever is okay. But the point of this is quite interesting, because if you think about it, if you're from a different country, right? If you're not in the US, or even in the US, if you work for a small to mid-sized company that may not be known, like a Fortune 500 company, a recruiter or admissions, they're most likely, they've never heard of the company that you've worked in, right? Perhaps for your entire career. And so a smart idea is to write a brief description of what that company does, what that company is about. So, for example, maybe this company here, this person worked as a supply chain coordinator. The company that he or she worked for is a fashion tech startup selling customized dress shirts worldwide, right? That alone gives a description or paints a picture, right? Okay, so this person worked at this XYZ company as a supply chain coordinator, and that company sells dress shirts. So it paints a picture to what your resume is saying, and I found it to be quite an interesting tactic. Being in the shoes of the recruiter or admissions, right? We see another acronym here. You don't want to do that. Just get rid of that. Write it something out. Write the full thing here. Okay, some mark that red here. Okay, so another thing I noticed here is, let's use this right here. Always quantify your impact, right? Immediately I'm seeing these 100%, 10%. Let's read one of these, okay? So let's see. Executed sustainability practices to optimize inventory and eliminate waste, reducing cost by 5%. Okay, so this is pretty simple, right? This is pretty good. So it has the verb. Always start with the verb, right? You probably know this. So execute sustainability practices. Okay, this is what you did. This is the what. This is the, to optimize inventory. This is the what, and this is the result, right? Reducing cost by 5%. What will make it better is to have the how, right? Like, how did this person do it? How did this person reduce cost by 5%? That part's missing. Okay, this is a little better. Implemented logistical operations to achieve 100% fulfillment, reducing costs by 10% through data analysis. Okay, so this is much better. When quantifying your impact, the structure follows as what, how, and what and how. Okay, you have to have that, and of course the result at the end. Okay, so that's good. Implement logistical operations. This is what you did to achieve 100% fulfillment, reducing cost by 10%. That's your result. Through data analysis, that's the how. Okay, so that's good. Try to follow that with every single bullet point. That's the principle, right? Okay, now let's keep going here. Right now, tip number 3 is to always start out with a verb. Okay, very important to do. The companies want to know what you did, not your responsibilities. Too often, people write on their resume, people write their responsibility or their achievement on the resume. That is not what a resume is for. What a resume should do is to give the recruiter or the admissions an idea of what you can do through past experiences you've done. Okay, so which oftentimes it has to come in the form of quantifying your impact, is what I said earlier for tip number 2. So again, tip number 3, always start out with verbs on your bullet points. Okay, and might as well, I should just say tip number 4 is emphasize achievements, not responsibilities. That's tip number 4. Okay, sorry, I kind of went back and forth a little bit, but hopefully you get that point. Okay, let's keep going here. Now, company name, okay, position, what the company does, good. Additional information. Okay, so this is an interesting one. This person has languages, certification, developing, or proficient skills. Okay, so this is actually, this is something similar to what I have as well in terms of structure. Language, a huge plus. You want to have that. Certifications, of course, if you have any, you have to write that. Developing proficient skills. This is perhaps technical skills. I think that's what this person means. Analytic solver, Excel, MS projects, yeah, technical skills. Other things you can include would be things like leadership experiences. What kind of volunteer work have you done in the past? College circles or club activities? Have you taken any leadership positions? That would be a huge plus for business schools. They would like to know, because the thing is, when you interview or when you're on your application or your essays or when you're interviewing, you're going to get asked the question of, what will you do to contribute to our program? And oftentimes that's through your leadership. Things like, yes, I will participate in, I have experienced this volunteer activity, or I'm running a finance club at my undergraduate, and that's exactly how I want to contribute to XYZ business school by actively participating in leadership roles and finance clubs or XYZ clubs, and foster the networking and events and all that stuff. So that's the kind of those are contributions that business schools look for. So that's another thing you can definitely write on your resume here. Volunteer experiences or leadership experiences. Okay, this is actually good. Tip number 5 to say. Tip number 5 is to keep it simple and one page, and making it easy to skim through. So just zooming out here, this person has the resume in one page, so that's really good. I do see a lot in my experience going through hundreds of resumes. People write their resumes 2-3 pages. I've seen quite the lengthy resumes, but the point is, again, as I said, the point is, we want to know, or I would want to know what you did, or what you would do at my business school or at my company through some of the impact or past impact that you can make through the past experiences you've had. So, giving me a recruiter a novel to read over. First of all, you're not going to remember it. And second of all, it shows me that you can't simplify context to a readable and or again something that a manager can understand. I love to say, if a child can't understand or remember it, most likely the recruiter or even your friend or classmates, they're not going to remember either. So it's all about that, making the impact, giving that impression, right? So you can get onto that next stage, get that interview, or get that networking done. So those are some of the 5 tips that I can share with you today. Just a quick recap for my video today. 5 tips on how to make a great resume. Tip number 1 is avoid jargon and any other technical jargon or abbreviations. Okay, no SCM. Okay, just say supply chain management. Okay. Tip number 2 is always quantify your impact. Okay, when writing your resume, the bullet point. Okay, at the very end or the very beginning, talk about the numbers, right? You increase additional revenue by X%. You reduce costs by 10%, right? Always quantify your impact. Tip number 3 is always start with a verb, okay? Directed, built, managed, implemented, executed, led, advised, right? Always start out with a verb. Tip number 4 is emphasize your achievements, not responsibilities, okay? Not even achievements so much, but emphasize your impact and not your achievements, responsibilities. I had to digress because when I say achievements, people often misinterpret that as awards you've gotten. That's okay, but it's not necessary. Okay, it doesn't mean anything to a recruiter or advisor if you got some sort of an award at your company. It doesn't mean anything to me or to the people that you're wanting to get their attention to. So that's why I want to digress from that word achievement. But you do want to definitely talk about some of the milestones or the key successes you've had at the company, right? Not awards you've gotten or not responsibilities, because no one cares about what you did. They care about what you've done, what kind of impact you made. Okay, tip number 5 is keep it simple and one page. Make it easy to skim. Okay, get that white space. I know a lot of people like to cram it. I like this person has the location and the date on the right side. Perhaps which is nice, right? You have that middle white space in the middle, so that's nice. The format, I see this person definitely adjusted the layout to be a little more narrow. Let's see, the font size is by 11. Looks like it's by 11. So yeah, white space is definitely important. If you're looking at 100 resumes a day, okay, if you're a full-time recruiter looking at 50 to 100 resumes a day, they're not going to take more than 10 minutes looking over it, right? More than 5. It's going to take like oftentimes less than a minute to look over a resume. So keep that in mind. Keep it simple and concise. And that's step number 5. And hopefully you got some ideas to improve your resume from our video today. And I hope to see you in the next one. Again, link in the description below. Alpha Advisors, come talk to us. We offer free consultation for those that are looking to get into their dream business school or dream company. And we'd love to work with you. So come chat with me and with that free consultation. And I'll see you soon.